Hello, everyone, and welcome to Greyhammer. This is probably going to be a shorter episode, but this is 5 ways to improve finances in franchise mode. This isn't necessarily a tutorial. This is a suggestion for new content, and I've got some ideas I think that would be really interesting and make the gameplay a little bit more involving. It would have to be tweaked to make sure that it doesn't make the gameplay like too repetitive or like tedious, because franchise can already be a little tedious. So maybe you could have some systems, and I'll talk about those a little bit later. But I just wanted to address this because I find finances in Planet Zoo can be a little difficult to manage, because the only really income revenues you have is guest admission and them buying things while they're in their zoo, which is not realistic to how an actual zoo would work. So we've got a few suggestions here that we'll be going into, and let me know what you like about them. Please go ahead and like this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Sorry, my dog's barking, but on we go. Stocks, or as everyone knows them, stonks. You want to give an option to invest in different companies, such as maybe like Gulpy, Chief Beef, those different companies you can house in the zoo, because so that will give you just a greater finances. 1 second, let me get the dogs to quiet down. All right, and we're back. And it would give occasional minor income through the dividends, but this wouldn't be much. I mean, it would depend on how much you had invested. So you would be putting a section of your funds into a company, and then Planet Zoo would do like a little random, maybe somewhat influenced by sales in your zoo, to bring up the stock, or sometimes it will lower. So you could then sell the stock for either a profit or even a loss if the company seems to be failing. So that would be a way to make kind of a variable income. It could be interesting. This one's probably the least likely for them to add because it's probably got the most complications to it, because you gotta do all those calculations for just having the stocks go up and down. But I think it could be interesting. Also, we do have a bonus one on this as well, so we'll get into that in just at the end. Next one, research grants. This is one I think would be really good to work into Planet Zoo. A lot of researchers can get grants to study different creatures, and then of course you use it to pay for just different salaries and things. So you can get money based off research goals from your vets. So maybe you would be able to pay all of your vets' wages with a research grant, but the requirement would be you reach either a certain research goal in like a specific species or a disease, or maybe it even makes some new research ones. And getting your research to a species can maybe grant you a bonus in animal fertility from the different research grants, and also could give you a cash boon. Probably not just straight cash, maybe it would be something like you have 3 months of not paying staff wages, something like that, because part of the research grants is you can pay your staff with that money. So that's kind of another way you could do this. I think this one would slide in very nicely with Planet Zoo. I don't think it would take too much complicated things to get that set up. So let me know what you think about this one. We got some others. City projects. So cities can influence how zoos are built. That you can perhaps the city that your zoo is based in can give you cash grants to build high appeal species and exhibits. So like the city might be like, well, we want to make this area bigger for tourism. We want like a lion exhibit in the zoo. And so they could maybe give you a certain amount of money, but you have to spend it on a lion exhibit. How would you enforce that? Well, you would just say if there's a time limit, like you have 3 months, if there's not a lion in your zoo, by the end of those 3 months, you get that cash deducted from your zoo's finances. But it could be a way to fund sort of exhibits as well. Could be really interesting. Could be time limited, like I said, and species limited. So they could be like, we want African savanna species. So they might give you a however many thousands of dollars grant to build 3 habitats for African species or something like that. It could be interesting. Add a little bit more depth, but it could be annoying. But you don't have to accept the grant. But that could be an interesting way to get more finances in Planet Zoo. Next is corporate sponsorships. So companies such as Gulpy and Chief Beef can grant money to build exhibits. This is pretty frequent. You'll have rich donors or companies fund exhibits or habitats. May require that animals, buildings, or work zones to be named in a particular way. Like it could be considered like, let's just say you were doing a crocodile habitat. It could be Gulpy Guff or Chief Beef Farms or something like that. I don't know how difficult that would be to include in the game, but I think it could be interesting. Maybe you need to have a billboard with their company on it, attached to the habitat building. Something like that, but would give you significantly better funds and could be a way to kind of sell your soul to the company to get more money for building the zoo, and could be really interesting. I think this could work pretty well. So let me know what you think about this one. We got 2 more. One is the major one, and the other one's the bonus. So events. So this one would be probably the easiest for Planet Zoo to put into the game, and that's you can host events for birthday parties, weddings, special events. In these special event areas, similar to Vista Points. So like you would place down something like a Vista Point, and you could link seating to it. And then that you would regularly or irregularly have parties based off of the scenery rating. Can give you small marketing bonuses and also give you just some incremental income. Like not much. Maybe like a wedding is $10,000, and that sounds expensive, but that's actually like somewhat standard. And so you could have just these different events, birthday parties, and so different areas, and maybe they cost differently based off of the scenery rating of the area. So, guests always have that thought of this is great scenery, this is dull, so you could base the event cost off of that, with nearby habitats providing bonuses to that, because who doesn't want to have their birthday party right next to the lions or something like that? So it would be cool to include event areas for the zoo, something that we don't really have and would be really interesting. I think could be really cool. And then you could have them go to animal talks or something like that. Also, another one that we didn't cover in here is random donors. So just you kind of get that through the animal adoptions in the info center, but maybe more wealthy donors. So that would be good as well with these events sort of kind of tied in there. But option number 6 is a savings account. The zoos of this game are so irresponsible. You just have your money. You could have 50,000, 300,000, any amount of money. Why is none of it in a savings account? Your money is constantly going down and it's never going up. So just having something where you can set aside a certain amount of money and then it goes into the account and starts growing at 5%. And then it's not much, but every year you just get a little bit of interest and you can withdraw money from the account. I don't think it would be too difficult to include in Planet Zoo, but I think it would be a really good way to make franchise just a little bit less tedious for your finances, and just kind of improve the game overall. If you did like these ideas, go ahead and please like and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Comment below on any of these that you think would be interesting to add and anything that I may have forgotten. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.